I wanted, before we get into the new single, which
Yeah.
as soon as I heard, we'll get into that. But before we do, we got to get to know you a little bit, because I was saying to a friend, literally about 30 minutes ago, that there's just something about you, Brittany, that I just think you're the coolest, you're the sweetest, and like
Thank you.
I just, yeah, I follow a lot of, artists on Instagram, and then I'll see, what y'all are up to and whatnot. And there was a post just before I reached out to you, a post, and just the way you were talking about your new single, the enthusiasm you had, and then of course, in going back and forth between French and English, and making sure that everybody really, really understands the gratitude that you have. I really just was like,
Thank
ah,
you. That means a lot. Honestly, like I really do just try to always remind myself how lucky I am to be doing this and
yeah.
how grateful I am to just be where I'm at and yeah, on all fronts. And I want to make sure that's, definitely clear to fans and to listeners and just for them to know that I'm always very grateful to just be here. And because without them, I wouldn't be here. So it's a
Yeah.
big thing for me.
Well, and so I guess usually I'll start when I'm getting to know an artist with, influences, but I think your influences really comes through in your songwriting and the songs. So I'm gonna your influences will come up, I'm sure. But what I want to start with, Brittany, is that, I mean, you've been at this for a long time,
Yes,
right? A very long time. And
very
when
long
I
time.
and when I say that, because we're looking at, I know that you moved, you went to school in Boston, and this was already
I
like
did.
over 10 years ago, right?
Yes, yeah.
And
So I moved there in 2000. What
what were
was
you studying in Boston?
songwriting?
Okay. So
Yeah, yeah.
beautiful, because then talk about, after that you spent, and then almost 10 years, what, in Nashville writing, right?
Yeah, pretty
So
much. Yeah.
explain to me that experience where you come out, and the first thing you do in Nashville is you really start cutting your teeth as a songwriter.
Right.
Tell me about that experience and what you've learned from it that has now carried you into being an artist now. What did you take
Yeah.
from that time?
It was definitely an interesting time. I was very young when I moved there, and like I'm still surprised, to be honest, sometimes that I did. So now I'm like, I can't leave my house, but now I'm like, I can't believe I moved to a different country and pursue that, and that my parents, let me do that. But there's a lot of lessons I learned moving over there. The first big one was pretty much how to be an adult.
Wow.
My
How
parents,
old were you, if you
I
don't
was
mind me asking?
21,
Okay. Oh,
21.
yeah.
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 And so I left home at 18, but my parents were still very much like helping me out. And, at the time they were, yeah, financially helping me out. At 21, they were like, okay, you're done. Like,
Yeah.
we love you, but you need to grow up and figure it out.
You're
And
on your own. Yeah.
so, yeah, so when I moved there, like a lot of my time was also spent waitressing, babysitting, working at coffee shops. Like I worked every odd job you can think of. I was an extra in the Nashville show. Like I was just doing every job that
Wow.
could give me income. And then when I wasn't working those jobs, I was songwriting or going to writer rounds or taking meetings or just anything to connect with people. And I feel like the biggest thing or the biggest takeaway was how community oriented Nashville was and
Mm.
how everybody really wanted to help one another. So it was never competitive. I never felt out of place. I never felt like I didn't belong. Anybody that I met was like, yeah, no problem. Come, we'll meet you. We'll connect you to this person. And so I really want to try to apply that to my community in Quebec. And already it's like that. There's not much work for me to do in that sense. I mean, I just want to keep pushing that we support each other, that we collaborate, that we write together, that we're, together we're better.
Yeah.
So that was probably the biggest takeaway because without all those people that kind of strung me along in Nashville, I don't think I'd be still in it. I don't think I'd still be where I am today.
And so, with that being a beautiful takeaway, 100% the community aspect
Yeah.
of especially in country, right? Whether it's
Yeah.
south of us in Nashville, or, up here in Canada, it really is a community of,
Yeah.
of everybody, whether it's
100%.
songwriters, producers, engineers, whatever. It is a really uh, wonderful community. So I'm glad you
Yeah.
went there. But what I want to know is, because I mean, spending a lot of time there, and especially as a songwriter, I'm fascinated by songwriters and
Yeah.
songwriting, as
Yeah.
far as, how do you like explain to me, how does a songwriter stay creative? And perhaps maybe
Yeah.
the length of time that you spent, in Nashville, writing, how do you stay creative? How do you keep coming up with different ideas? Where does that
Yeah.
come from specifically for you, Brittany?
I'd probably say tough because it wasn't, I don't want to say that it's something that I've like polished, but it's also something that I feel like I've had since I was really young.
Mm.
I have still to this day, like I have these books where I wrote songs from when I was 7. They make no sense, but I was always writing songs and I always had ideas. And I remember in college, one of my professors said, try to always have your songwriter cap on, always be listening, always be in tune, kind of like tuning your channel a little bit to like what's out there. And I find Nashville, because there's so many creators in one place,
Yeah,
there's just so many ideas floating around that if you tune in to the right place, that idea will come, or you'll be able to internalize it and channel it and bring it to life. So I feel like especially when I'm in Nashville, and even now I notice a difference. And I'm there, my songwriter like alert is on high. When I'm back home, I'm a little bit more like breaks, or I'm
yeah,
with family, or there's not as much go, go, go. And find Nashville, because you're there, music 24/7. Everybody you meet is a songwriter, artist, something that you're kind of just in tune with those ideas that are floating around.
yeah,
And I just try to be, you know, on top of that. If I do have an idea, I always write it down. And so I find that kind of really helps my songwriting process when I do get in the room.
yeah. Well, and now it's fascinating, because I can imagine, as an artist, being a songwriter, a brilliant songwriter, helps, because you're telling your own story, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
So I guess what I want to know next then, for you as an artist, now taking the songwriting lessons and being in Nashville, and now it's like, okay, I'm ready to put myself out there as Brittany, like as the
Yeah.
artist. And um I want to know for you, when the moment the momentum really started for you, because one would assume that it would be the voice, right? That it would
Right.
be the appearance there, and because that's a
Yeah.
huge moment, being the first Canadian, right? Like
Yeah.
that's like you have Blake Shelton and it's like I can imagine that
Yeah.
would be my assumption of where the momentum started for you. Is that the case? Is that the
I'm
case?
going to say yes and kind of
Okay.
no. I moved to Nashville to be a songwriter for other artists. That
Right.
was my main goal, but I always had a hard time showcasing my songwriting side to publishers, or I felt like, okay, well, if I do write around, start performing the songs, it's like, okay, well, maybe if I record the songs and I'll put out an EP, and maybe that'll kind of help at least generate a little bit of momentum. And so
I
I
see.
feel like there were little stepping stones that were gearing eventually towards becoming an artist full
Yeah.
time. And then, like you said, when being on The Voice, having that experience where I was able to really fine tune my singing, and being on stage, and just the feeling of it, to that at that level. That's kind of when
Mm.
I was like, yeah, I think I could do this. And part of that also stems from not really being all that confident with singing in general. I wasn't really born like a prodigy singer. Like I liked it and I liked doing it, but I wasn't like, I watch videos and I'm just being like very
Yeah.
close. They weren't
Yeah.
they weren't good. Like, and thankfully I still had support to keep training and keep learning and keep practicing. And um my confidence over time built, and I've been able to find my voice through all my experiences. But uh, yeah, I would say that kind of gave me a new confidence being
Mm.
on that show to kind of pursue artistry and
Yeah.
sing my own songs too.
And so then when for you do you think, because I mean, and it could be now, to be honest with you, that could be now, because again, was it in 2016. That was the Voice was in
Yep.
2016, and then um and then 2021 you release your debut album,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
I Ain't a Saint.
Yep.
Okay, so that's 2021. Then you make your Grand Ole Opry, like you perform on the grand. So is that for you? Like I'm trying to guess. I'm trying to figure out when this artist
The
as like when it okay, we're going.
kind
It's
of,
Brittany Kennell time, right? Like
yeah.
so was it the Grand Ole Opry? Was it the release of that debut album? Or is it now? Right now?
I feel like it's kind of more now. Like
Yeah.
I've always just been in this like, keep learning, keep working, keep building kind of chapter. I feel like always really um determined to like find my sound, my story, and be different also. Like I find that's just one of the bigger challenges as an artist is where do you find your own lane? There's so many amazingly talented artists and writers out there. It's like where can I squeeze in and find my place? and
Yeah.
and so I feel like for me it's an ongoing journey, like to who I am. And I find every time I like stop and look back and say, okay, wow, I did go move to Nashville, and oh, I did do the
Yeah.
Voice, and oh, I did, the Grand Ole Opry. And then it's like, okay, like keep going, you got it, because there's more out there, there's more you can accomplish and more you can do. And so it's kind of, I would say it's an ongoing journey of continually finding myself, my sound, and feeling confident with it.
And now, okay, so here we are now, because I would agree. I would actually say again, the assumption would be, oh, it was totally The Voice. That was when momentum.
Yeah.
But like you beautifully explained, well, that was the moment where you still were learning. Like it was a learning
Yeah.
process, right? And I think a lot of people would miss that. That it's
Yeah.
being there, I got the confidence I needed, and that's what's great about the show. But I would say it is now. It is now,
Yeah.
just even the way you're putting yourself out there, promoting this new single.
Thank
And I have to tell you, so let's move into it.
you.
Um, because for me personally, this song, I said it, I am playing it today. I played it today.
Oh, thank you.
And I mean, we've been playing it like every day,
Oh,
lots, right? Um,
thank you so much.
it just hit our now top 40 countdown over the
I
weekend, right?
saw that. That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
I think I looked at that like 100 times because I was like, I can't believe it. I first top 40. So
So I
cool.
mean, and that's coming. That's based on requests at this point, right? For
Wow.
it
That's
after,
amazing.
yeah, it did very well on the First Play Friday feature,
Oh,
and so getting into House and a Dog.
yes.
Here's the reason why. And today I said nobody talks about cats. Cats are useful. I have a dog and a cat, but cats are useful,
Yeah.
right? And it was just so much fun. It's so much fun to go into. But what stuck out for me personally was of course the message, and then reading when you were talking about it saying, I keep getting asked these questions. Soon as
Yeah.
you hit 30, when are you going to do this? Are you going to settle down, or do you want to have kids?
Yeah.
Do you want to get married? And you'd think in 2023 or 20, even a year ago or 10 years ago, that question would have, like, why are people still
No.
asking this question? And I thought literally, and I know that I am not, but you start to feel like you're the only friggin' woman being asked this question, and I'm approaching 40 yet. And it's like the
So,
question, it's like,
yeah.
so yeah, tell me about, you know, the writing process of this one. Because again, personally, this hit. And I was so
Thank you.
frustrated. I was so
Yeah.
frustrated when I heard it. It was like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm cool, man.
I love it.
I have other
Other
dreams,
things. Yes. And
So
I think I mean, that's the whole message behind that song. And I felt like, and so many women reached out to me. They're like, yes, like I feel seen. Thank you. And I wrote it about a year and a half ago and had since met a partner
yeah,
who's fantastic and very, very supportive of the song.
yeah, yeah,
He'll just sit there and listen. He's like, don't worry about it. You get it, babe. Like super cute. But you know, I wrote it at a time where I was just kind of so fed up with those questions of people saying, well, it's your clock's ticking, or and it's like I already carry those questions myself. Like I
yeah,
don't need them coming from the outside.
yeah,
And my goal has always been career first, always, hands down. And that's okay. And it's totally okay if others have family first as a career goal or as a goal in life. And I mean, all of these are okay. And I don't think that there's any right or wrong answer to how a woman wants to spend her 30s. And I think that that was the message I really wanted to drive home with this song. And whether it be a house and a dog or house and a cat, or, even just traveling the world without a house. And, I think it's just important to say, like, I don't need the societal pressures of this is what I need to do when I turn 30. And I can just choose to chase my dreams um, and follow that pursuit. And my parents were very, very big on that message growing up. And I think
Mm,
that's also why I've just held on to that of like
mm,
career and dream first, because I want to know later on in life, you know, that I gave it my all, that I did my best, that will always have a passion to
mm,
lean on, and have that as my first love. And Spanish music has been my first love and will always be my first love. And so I'm very grateful that I've been able to find that passion and pursue it, and then, you know, um, yeah, share that message with others. And I'm so grateful that a lot of women can relate to this song and to this message. So I think it'll, I don't know, just hope some confidence. Like, yeah, you know what? I'm doing my own thing,
yeah,
and
well,
it's good. It's good enough.
and here's what's amazing about it. And I when I say the word, I don't I hope you don't take it you know, it's a simple song. I mean,
Yeah,
it is such a simple song
it is.
with such an empowering message that two in combination being it's being simple and then the message is what makes it
Yeah,
larger than
yeah,
life, right? And I think
yeah,
that that is so important. And again, as a songwriter, sometimes you have people who are just going way too, like they go, oh, it's gotta be hard, it's gotta be this, it's gotta be that.
yeah,
And what's interesting, and I think I mentioned this to you in a message, your name had been coming up all the time for me when talking to other incredible artists. Raquel Cole being one of them.
love Raquel Cole.
She's
Such
one.
a fan.
Oh, I'm such a fan of hers as well. And when we started getting to know each other, she had mentioned she played a
Yeah,
song for me called "Find the One," and
yeah,
and she had mentioned that she had written that with you,
yeah.
and I was like, okay. From that moment on, because
Uh,
that song was so beautiful, um, where you're talking about, yeah, okay, find the one and whatever. And so there's that piece of you that, like you said, that's what
yeah,
you do want, and you already have
yeah,
those questions in your head and in your heart. Like you're like, when is
yeah,
this gonna happen? So
yeah.
I just think it's important to mention that song. And then we had your song Valet with Manny. Like it just
Oh yeah. Yes, that was a fun one.
yeah. But so now to have one final, I had been waiting.
I know. When I got your message, I was like, thank you.
I had been waiting for just Brittany Kennell songs to
Thank
come out.
you.
And so I guess the last question I have about this particular single, because I mean, I just know you have so many songs and stories that you probably cannot wait to share. And we're probably going, this is just the beginning. But is it just because of the message that you chose this one as sort of your, all right, I'm here, I'm
At the
ready?
gate.
Yeah. Why this
Um,
one?
I took this one for fans, mainly because over the summer we were playing shows all around Quebec and Ontario, and I had again so many women coming up to me after the show saying, "Where can I listen to that song?" Or I had family members that heard it and had been like, "Oh, I'm going through the same thing, and I just went through a breakup, and this song means something to me. Where can I listen to it?" And so um, that was the reason why I picked that one first, because I just wanted to cater to the people. And again, like that kind of just circles back to the first questions. Like without fans, I wouldn't be here. So
Mm.
their support means the world to me. And so I wanted to kind of give that back to them and have that song easily accessible for them so that they can listen to it and enjoy it
And relate.
and
Uh,
relate to it. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that was,
And
yeah.
I think it does. And so well done. Question though,
Thank you.
do how many songs do you have in French? And I'm hoping that we get to that you'll release some of them. I'm serious. Like
Oh, I know, I know. I'm so excited. Well, it's so funny because my French got very rusty when I moved to Nashville because I just didn't use it. And
Yeah.
growing up, I grew up in a very Anglophone part of Montreal. So again, it wasn't always my first language.
Yeah.
And so coming back, my partner and my business partner and manager, she was like, okay, well, we're gonna tackle Quebec. And I said, let's go, I'm in.
Yeah.
And, she threw me into interviews, and there were a couple of like hilarious ones where I was answering totally different answers to the questions. And it was a work in progress. But since then, my French has gotten a lot better, and the French have been so open with welcome arms to me, and um, or welcome with open arms. And
Yeah.
so uh, the goal is to definitely do a French song this
Excellent.
year. Yes. So
Excellent.
there will definitely be one out this year.
Great to hear. Because like I said, I saw your last post, and I thought it for sure was your first language. I thought
Oh,
for sure it was. I speak
no,
French,
thank you. Yeah.
right? I was in French immersion, so my
Okay. So you,
it's a little rusty for me. But like I can't speak French as well as I understand it still. So when you kept going back and forth, it was weird because I was like, she just said that. I'm like, oh wait, she's saying it in
oh,
French, right? I'm just understanding it, right? And so
oh,
I was laughing at myself, going, "Why am I?
I love
Why?
it.
Why does it feel like she's saying the same thing twice?
Same
Oh
thing
wait, because
twice.
I'm hearing it twice. Just
Yeah.
so it was just a really funny moment. But I think that it's so important as a Canadian artist, especially from
Yes.
where you're from,
Yeah.
that you get to represent that piece of you, and that's
100%.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
why I wanted to know. Like, please tell me there's a French
Yeah.
coming as well,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. And I
Yeah.
think it's definitely like, it's just a gap that I want to keep closing in. There's so many amazing artists from Quebec that are trying to push the envelope in new country as well. And like, I just think, again, kind of, again, circling back to the togetherness, the community thing, I think, really showing each other that, our fans, that we can do both languages and that we can perform both languages. And so, yeah, I think it's an important piece. And like you said, I want to represent Montreal and Quebec and the rest of Canada. So I'm definitely doing the French and English thing.
Well, you're
So
off to a
thank
killer
you.
start.
Honest, thank you so much for reaching out and playing it and sharing it. It really means a lot. And yeah, I'm very excited to just kind of, yeah, keep this journey going. And like you said, I feel like I'm finally making my mark and finally coming out and just, having fun with it.